Picture this. You own the most successful video retail store in North America. You're doing great. You've got billions of dollars, not a care in the world. But, oh no, your business partner has stolen everything from out beneath you, fled the country, and left you in millions of dollars of debt to the United States government. All the asset they've left you as some sort of cruel joke that the universe is playing on you is a small rural town in Canada that you bought as a practical joke for your son, and that town goes by the name of Now, if you find yourself in that position, you just might be my personal favorite character from one of my personal favorite comedies of all time. That is Johnny Rose from the show Schitt's Creek. I recently binged the entire series for the first time. Absolutely excellent. If you haven't checked out Schitt's Creek, it's a really good show, and while I was watching it, it got my mind buzzing, and I'm basically here today to make some drinks from the show for you all to enjoy. Now, a few of these were derived from things that we see in the show itself. A few of them are sort of concoctions of my own making, inspired by the show. We've got 3 drinks here today that we're going to be sharing with you. We're just going to hop right into it with the first one, which was featured in Season 3, Episode 9, The Affair. In this episode, Moira attends her first Regional Association of Regional Association of Municipalities Conference. That's what it is, yes. She proves to be a bit of a hit over there, and Moira and Roland decide to spend maybe a little too long at the bar on site there, where Roland gives us this little nugget of information that the RAMC actually has a specialty cocktail named for it, which he describes as a sparkling white Russian. And he says specifically, the goal is to drink it before it curdles. Now, this falls sort of into the definition of a Colorado Bulldog, which is a white Russian with anywhere from an ounce to 2 ounces of Coke put in there. For Schitt's Creek, I think it is only fitting that we use something like champagne, or as we have here, this lovely flavored wine-based drink. We're going to be using that in place of Coke for our Canadian Bulldog. There you go. That's a good name for this cocktail. So let's start here. Like I said, using a white Russian as a base. One of my personal favorite sort of lower tier cocktails. But I think it gets you there. We're going to be starting off with 2 ounces of vodka. You would want to serve this in a lowball glass, typically. I ordered some from Whiskey, but they have not shown up yet. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm sure that they're busy with the holiday season and whatnot. Going for an ounce of kahlua, or the coffee liqueur of your choice. You probably want to use something sweeter here. Don't use Mr. Black for a white Russian. Probably just not a good choice all around. So you have an ounce there. Anywhere from an ounce to 2 ounces of champagne. Or sparkling wine, or whatever you wish to use. We're going to start with an ounce. This is more so to taste. I tried this cocktail before. I liked it with a little more champagne. All right, we're going to place some ice in here. Careful not to overflow the glass. 3 of those will be just fine. Top it off with an ounce of heavy cream. Now, since Roland says the objective here is to drink it before it curdles, I imagine that this drink is served layered. I would typically serve a white Russian or a Colorado Bulldog swirled, personally, but that will curdle your cream pretty much right away. And I imagine that will, it kind of mix itself in there. Yeah, we're seeing some curdling action already, so I don't think Roland would be too happy with us, but let's mix that up. I mean, damage is done, right? Might as well just get in there. See if the dude abides. Delicious. If you like white Russians, you're probably going to like this. The champagne is a weird sort of extra note. I had considered using club soda to get the sparkling element here, but honestly, I think that it's not it's a little too generic, I think, for the personality of this show. So a champagne or a substitute, cheaper substitute for champagne would work just fine here, and I think really fits with the theme, such as our flavored wine-based drink. It's good. It's creamy. Lovely. Moving on, this is a cocktail I have sort of invented, inspired by the events of the show. There is an episode where Twyla is hosting her upcoming yearly murder mystery party. This time it's 1920s themed. She's afraid not a lot of people are going to show, but throughout the course of the episode, Moira helps her plan a proper party, and the idea of a themed cocktail for that party gets brought up quite a lot. So I was sort of trying to divine what that themed cocktail could have been. Knowing the party's 1920s themed, I immediately went to prohibition drinks. Famously, very bad, most of them. Although, given that we can assume the culprit of the murder which took place at this particular event was, in fact, Moira Rose herself, due to a line that David drops about Twyla getting increasingly worried that Moira isn't actually showing up to the party she planned. I looked at the specific prohibition cocktail called the Mary Pickford, which is named after a silent film actress who was very popular. It was invented by either one guy or another. We're not quite sure. But it was invented in her honor during Prohibition, I believe. Could be wrong about that. It might have been just before. So we're going to get into a variation of the Moira Pickford called the Twyla's Twist, where I essentially just replace the ingredients piecemeal. Typically, you'd want equal parts rum and pineapple juice in a Mary Pickford. Sorry. We're going to use spiced rum here. Captain Morgan is effectively cheap for Twyla's own budget, I imagine. Spiced rum itself, a lot of people think that that is basically rum. That's what rum tastes like. They'd be wrong. But that I could definitely see Twyla thinking something like that. So this is going to be a shaken drink. We're going to add 1.5 ounces of Captain Morgan spiced rum. You can use a spiced rum of your choice. They do have different flavors. Captain Morgan is more vanilla-y, more caramelly. Something like my personal favorite spiced rum, Blackheart, is cherries and acetone, straight cherries and acetone in the flavor profile. So depending on the spiced rum you use, you're going to get a different flavor profile. Going to replace the pineapple juice with cranberry juice. Why are we doing this? Well, I wanted to add a bunch of fruity flavors, because it is mentioned pretty early in the series that there is a particular shake, I believe. Smoothie, yes. Sorry, smoothie at the Café Tropical, which Twyla works at. And this smoothie she just kind of makes with whatever fruits she has on hand on any given day. So that's kind of another sort of area of inspiration that's coming into this. Going to replace the teaspoon of grenadine with a teaspoon of raspberry syrup, preferably wild raspberry, Monin wild raspberry, very good stuff. Or you can make your own. Making your own syrups is very easy. Just a good 2-to-1 ratio of sugar to liquids. Boil that together. Add whatever flavoring ingredients you want. Let that sort of cook in there for about 20 minutes. And you'll be good to go. All right. Delicious. Instead of 6 drops of maraschino liqueur, we are going to use 6 drops of rose water. Of course, inspired by the murderess Moira Rose herself. We're going to shake that with ice. There we go. Don't have my strainer on hand. Probably should have thought of that beforehand. But hey, if you're bartending at home, no one's going to care if you do this. Don't do this at a bar. That is a health code violation. All right. Is that sufficiently chilled? I don't think so. Probably didn't shake this long enough. We'll just pop an ice cube or two in and try ourselves a Twyla's Twist. Here we go. Mm. Oh, wait. Before we do that, so sorry. We forgot the garnish, which I went out of my way specifically while driving up to record this episode to obtain. We're going to be garnishing with dried rosebud here. Plop! Rosebud Motel is the name of the hotel in Schitt's Creek, so that works out well. Dried rose petals will also work fine. There's a sort of floral hint over the drink. That's mighty fine. Mighty fruity. You don't get a lot of the rum there, which surprises me. You definitely get more if you use something like Blackheart or Sailor Jerry or Kraken. Definitely you'd get a good spiced rum taste if you used Kraken. But that is quite decent. I'm going to go in again. The rose works a lot for the nose, and a lot of tasting is what you're smelling. Very smooth. Cranberry, mostly, is the flavor profile there. And you definitely get that hint of raspberry coming through. That's delicious. That is sublime. Coming back in to the end here during the final season of Schitt's Creek, Moira Rose was called back to Herb Ertlinger's fruit winery, vineyard, sort of, to make a decision on the Moira Rosé, which would be a wine branded after her following the release of her Crows picture. During the course of the day that David and Moira try to decide which wine they want to put Moira's name on, they end up sampling essentially the entire house. Originally, Herb had just set out something like a ground fruits blend, a banana rosé, and a strawberry peach blend. With this, I think the idea is we see David combine a lighter red fruit wine with a darker red fruit wine.
Okay, you know what? I'm making a blend.
Yes, make us a nice Moira Low or a Moira Rosling. Hey, not to be too effusive, but I'd call that one potable.
I have had worse things in my mouth.
Sort of the idea is you're going to want to use fruit wine from a local vineyard. We have here specifically some watermelon from Deep Branch Winery and some pomegranate wine from Crystal Creek Winery. I chose watermelon and pomegranate because, first of all, the colors match, and I think that those flavors will match pretty nicely together as well. I was originally considering cherry, but I think that might have actually been the wrong move for the darker red. So a typical wine glass is 5 ounces, so we're going to add 2.5 ounces of each. A lot of people think that a rosé is just a white wine combined with a red wine. It's actually incorrect as far as I know. It is a wine made with red grapes, so it is a red, but it is lighter and fruitier, almost tastes more like a white. That's what you get, that's how you get a rosé. But the color leads a lot of people to believe that just putting white with red is a rosé, which is not the case, fortunately. We're going to have to finish these bottles sometime soon. Don't you still have so there's some more wine that we need to finish as well? We've got a lot of wine that we need to go through. All right, so now let's add our 2.5 ounces of pomegranate wine. I know not quite approved by a sommelier this episode, but I'm sure it'll taste just fine. Maybe if we wanted to be more accurate, we'd use some Canadian fruit wine. I did look into ordering some online, but they didn't have a lot of options, and shipping was quite high. So maybe this isn't quite accurate to what they'd be drinking up in Canada, but hey. Ooh, interesting. All right, well, let's give it a shot. That tastes like a Merlot or a Cab. That just tastes like a red wine. I'm interested. Definitely not approved by a sommelier, this action. Yeah, I can get subtle hints of watermelon there. I probably imagine it'd be the same for the pomegranate. But there you go. It's decent. I would probably prefer to use stronger flavors of wine, but I'm also not much of a wine guy, but I think it's pretty good. This is the David Rosé, since this blend was created by David himself. Well, there you have it. 3 drinks from or inspired by Schitt's Creek. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you check out the show if you haven't. Thanks for stopping by, giving this video a shot, and we will see you in the next one.